Atlantis by Shane Koyczan. Your entire body shakes when you laugh, as if your sense of humor was built on a fault line, and the coast of your heart falls into the ocean of yourself, and left looking for this Atlantis. Left looking for this place that exists in the stories told by old men, who were there when mathematics assured them their willingness to believe was greater than their determination to dismiss. I'm left looking for Atlantis. Regardless of the scientists that insist my efforts would be better spent on unearthing clues to where the wild things went. Try as it might, faith can't put a dent fast. So we must settle for a science reenact the world, as if the universe was curled around this globe. And if we consider that the universe is never ending, then we're not even a microbe. We're like a death threat from a pacifist. We're nothing. But the highest word uncertainty principle states that nothing is for sure. And the interesting thing about that is that it ensures that the principle itself can't even be a fact. But we still act as though this time we can see the forest through the trees, regardless of the soft wood lumber levees. We fall in line like we forest pine. It's all street roads, where everything grows a little less wild. It's a little more humdrum, ho-hum. We come from the mentality that rarely sees the horror in symmetry, or the beauty in non-conformity. We insist that for us, everything must be clear-cut. But what about philosophy? What about the tree that fell in the forest and no one was around to hear? It's a little less clear, a little more deep like if Oprah Winfrey is in a bathtub and no bubbles come to the surface. And there's an alternative universe where this price of gas is cheap. Possible, but we can't prove it. Any more than we can prove that light can move fast enough to stop a monster hiding in the closet. We deposit our faith in fear, but clear our minds to the possibility that maybe we as adults still get scared of the dark, things that go bump in the night. And I can't prove that I've ever loved anybody. But despite the smoking and the overweight body, I want to grow old with you. Go through muscle and joint pains, to the point that every time it rains, we can feel it in our knees. Get arthritis so bad that every time we move, we sound like two bowls of Rice Krispies. We're all snap, crackle, and pop, but we still take the time to stop. Take the time. I'm looking for Atlantis. Letting faith turn this fiction into fact. As if I tracked this missing continent for decades, and all I know so far is that it is somewhere underwater. I'm looking for clues in the most blurry photos of UFOs, and thinking, if aliens are so smart, then why don't they start making the spaceships look like airplanes? That way we just point to the sky and say, an airplane, how commonplace and not at all suspect. We're all shipwrecked on this idea that everything has to be explained. But maybe we just need to believe the lemmings jump off cliffs to prove that they love us. And sure, sacrifices as empty as a box that politicians use when they thought that they could get over us. But it's nice to believe that someday out there cares enough to plummet onto jagged, back-breaking rocks in an attempt to tell us we are beautiful. Tell us that as far as life goes, our fingerprints are like snowflakes. We leave them on everything, but they melt in time, and the time it takes to touch someone's tongue. But if we're lucky, maybe we're remembered, along with the sunken cities of a lost continent. This is for each child. There's a monument to the ones who came before. Maybe the best we can hope for is that those we leave behind find comfort in knowing that we're born out of love and not science. The biology explains how. Love explains the why. So in the event of our deaths, we hereby bequeath all of these words to you. And they are only meant to say that uncertainty is something everyone goes through. There is not much in the way of proof, but believe me, we loved you. We held our breaths for your first step, your first word. We laughed when it finally occurred to you, lemons are sour. This is for every time love becomes the finest minute in the darkest hour. This is for those who scour the streets, wondering where the wild things went. For the believers who lent us their madness. This is for everyone we missed. And this is for the children who are lost. Sadness is nothing more than the cost of being able to smile once in a while. And grief is the trial we stand to offer evidence that your fingerprints were left on our hearts and our skin. And in terms of proof, what can be demonstrated in giving? Our lives consist of the efforts we give, and swimming towards the lost continent, where you rumored to be living.